true greatness is achieved by fulfilling the unique calling and purpose that God has placed on your life. So talked about this a little bit before, but think that, we have so many different definitions of success, achievement, whatever that may be. And what's unfortunate for most of us is if we achieve something and it's not as great as somebody else's achievement, we will believe and often live with this identity of like, I never got to the level that they got to. But if we weren't created for that, then we shouldn't take away from what we've created. And so, and it's far more like people will talk, and I do say this kind of a little bit, but people say, well, it's about the impact you make. It's not, but it's like, yeah, but then I can compare impact and I can say that, well, this guy impacted 1 million people. I only impacted 4 people. And so again, it's like, well, that person's better than me. And that really shouldn't be what it's about. We really need to think about like our unique calling, who we are, what we've been wired with, the gifts we've been given, the talents we've been given. And not only that, but like the people that have been put in front of us and how we've been called to impact them, because somebody that, like just a man, even to say like the greatest calling of a man is to be a husband and a father. What happens if you can never have kids? What happens if you never get married? What happens if you have a marriage that does not go well? Are you a failure? You shouldn't be, but that's the way that life kind of plays itself out. Some people will say like, well, I'm going to set all that stuff aside so I can go accomplish all the things I want to in life. And then once I've kind of done my thing, then I'll go be a husband and a father. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Maybe that's not for everybody. Maybe we need to figure out what our calling is and our purpose. So that's really what I believe true greatness to be. And so a couple of things that come behind that. So obviously for me, faith is so incredibly important. And so this idea that we are rooted in faith, we're guided by God. I say this to people even that aren't Christians. I say like, if you don't believe that you were put here for a purpose, you're in big trouble in life. Back that up then one step and say, if I've been created for a purpose, I need to attribute that to somebody or something. And if I don't know what that is, then I'm going to have a really hard time understanding what my purpose is and understanding how to go live that, right? It just like continues to be this trickle down effect. A couple of key characteristics or virtues that I believe are incredibly important, and you're going to come up with some of your own here. This is more just a generality, but integrity I think is incredibly important for every single man walking the face of this earth. And we see how the degradation of integrity is destroying society, particularly in men. Resilience is another thing that's incredibly important. We talk about the fact oftentimes, especially as men, that we should be strong enough to endure anything. The fact of the matter is we've all had the shit kicked out of us. We've all been knocked down. We've all been beat up. Resilience is not the ability to endure more pain than somebody else. Resilience is ultimately about the ability to get back up after you've been knocked down. And there's a very big difference there, right? It's like, I want to be so strong that I can tolerate anything. You will become a human torture device. You will destroy yourself. That's what creates so many issues of mental health and struggle in men is they believe that like, I'm strong enough to deal with this. I'm strong enough to endure this. This is why like that macho bravado of if I just go lift weights and get really strong, I'm the tough guy. But inside they're dying because they have totally warped their idea of what it means to be strong. And so I believe that strength ultimately is fulfilled in resilience far more than it is in physical strength, though physical strength is important too. I don't know why I didn't underline these last two. I'll fix that later. But the next one is self-discipline. I think a true man of greatness fulfills his commitments. I think at the end of the day, that truly is what self-discipline is. It's not the ability for you to be able to do everything yourself. That's the other thing that's incredibly important to note is self-discipline is my ability to know where I struggle, where I excel, and who to bring into the times that I do struggle, how to open myself up and be vulnerable to that, but then also to be intentional. When I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I don't do it, especially in a repetitive manner, I'm going to figure out how to bring the people, bring the tools, bring the resources in to help me achieve those things. It's not about being a one-man show to success. It's about finding the right tools to do that. And tools is often going to be people. And then finally is sacrifice. Again, I think this is another area that a lot of men struggle with. I think it's really cool to talk about the fact that I'll lay down my life for somebody. That's like the manly thing to do. I'll take a bullet for my wife, whatever that may be. That's great, and you should totally do that. But I think sacrifice is a lot more difficult when it comes to setting aside my own personal comforts, to setting aside my own preferences. I mean, like, how often do we want to do something and our wife needs something from us? And we're like, dude, really? Again? Like, I have to do this for her? Or I have to, like, what, like, this is the one that drives me nuts. I have to watch my kids so my wife can go do her thing. Like, you are not your child's babysitter. You are the father, meaning you aren't never a babysitter, right? That this is not like, and then really in that regard, like, you're not even sacrificing, but we have to regularly lay down. Like the Bible says, we are to lay down our life for our spouse, but we should do that for all people. Obviously, not in the same manner, not in the same magnitude at all times, but it's really important that we're constantly doing that.